My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask you for pardon of my sins and grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Mother Immaculate, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. That is the first line of the opening antiphon, or the entrance antiphon of today's Mass. Today, the third Sunday of Advent, which is also known as Gaudete Sunday. Gaudete being the Latin translation of that word rejoice. So today the Church asks us to rejoice. In fact, if you're at Mass today, you'll see these rose vestments. You only see them one other time of the year, and that's Laetare Sunday, which is the third Sunday of Lent. Very similar kind of day when there's this kind of flash of celebration in anticipation of what is about to happen. And so today we anticipate the joy coming in 10 days' time. So rejoicing. Not rejoicing just because the presents and the celebrations and the music and the food and the carols and the drinks are only 10 days away. Certainly they are part of our joy, but they're not the core of our joy. The core is, as the second line of the antiphon puts it, the Lord is near. You, Lord, are getting very close, only 10 days away, and so we are already rejoicing. Remember how the shepherds were told when the angel appeared to them in the field at night, on that Christmas night in Bethlehem. And the shepherd told them, "Be not afraid, for behold, I bring you good news of a great joy, which is to come to all the people." So that note there from the very beginning, Christmas is a time of great joy. And we're having a little preview on this third Sunday of Advent. When somebody declares their love for another person, they could rightly be asked to prove it. Prove that you love me. A woman might say to a man who made that romantic declaration, "I love you," she might say, "Well, prove it. I want to see the flowers. I want to see the chocolates." In other words, I want to see signs of this love. Of course, if he goes out and buys her a Gucci Jackie Crocodile single-shoulder purse for $37,000, she will be quite convinced. And if she goes off and buys him canary diamond cufflinks for a mere $4.2 million, he too might be convinced of her love for him. In fact, they say that the most expensive gift ever given by anybody to anybody else was the Taj Mahal, which was built by an Indian prince for his, defunct wife as her mausoleum back in the 17th century. But that by the time it was finished, it cost him, in today's money, in dollars, $827 million. All as a declaration of this, his favourite wife, a lady called Mumtaz Mahal. So when you see the Taj Mahal, remember this was a very expensive gift. Let's go back to what the angel said to the shepherds on that night in Bethlehem. Because the angel said, "And this will be a sign for you. You will find a babe wrapped in swaddling clothes and lying in a manger." So this is a sign for them. What do we do with signs? We read them, we interpret them. What kind of sign is this? A babe wrapped up like a good gift, wrapped up in swaddling clothes or cloths, wrapped up by Mum, of course, Our Lady. And this is a sign, of course, of a gift which is of infinite value. When they go and see that gift and they realize, maybe a lady explains it to them, this in fact is the Messiah, this in fact is God made man. They realize this is a gift like no other gift. No other gift ever given on earth even comes close to this gift, because this gift is of infinite value. And of course it is a sign. What is it a sign of? It is a sign of your love, Lord, for us. In other words, with this beautiful gift you are saying, I love you infinitely. Now when we hear that, whenever we hear that someone likes us, let alone loves us, we blossom, we bloom. And that is exactly what happens in the first reading of today's Mass from Isaiah. Let the wilderness and the dry lands, that's you and me, that's our soul, exult. Let the wasteland, there we are again, rejoice and bloom. Let it bring forth flowers like the jonquil. Let it rejoice and sing for joy. So this is our blossoming. Our soul blossoms. We blossom in everything. We blossom when we realize how much God loves us. I want to read you a little line from Pope Benedict about precisely this. He says, "For us, God has become a gift. He has given himself. He has entered time for us. He who is the eternal one, above time, has assumed our time and raised it to himself on high. Christmas has become the feast of gifts in imitation of God who has given himself to us." That is an amazing observation. Christmas, he says, has become the feast of gifts in imitation of God who has given himself to us. So really, we shouldn't feel so guilty about the gifts part of Christmas. They are, in fact, an essential part of Christmas. Granted, maybe we go over the top and there's a lot of materialism and so on, but in themselves the gifts are good. They are an essential part of what Christmas is about. However, we have to remember that they are signs. The Christmas is not about the gift in itself, or the celebration, or the carols, or the meals, or the drinks in themselves, but what they signify, what they're communicating, what they express. And of course, they are expressing something which is otherwise invisible, which is love. Just as Christ is this sign, this expression of something which otherwise is invisible, and that is God's love for us. So, remember that. It is a way to avoid becoming overly exhausted, I think, at Christmas. Everybody has a lot to do. It is potentially a very tiring time, and especially for mums, with all that cooking, baking, decorating, buying of Christmas cards, buying of presents, parties, Christmas celebrations of one kind or another. It is potentially quite tiring, and people do admit that. Around this time of year, you do hear people say it, "I'm exhausted already. I find this all too much." I think it's a remedy, at least a partial remedy, to that kind of tiredness. And the remedy of remembering that these things, all those things which I've mentioned there, the carols and the presents and the food and the drink and all these things, are signs of something deeper. In our case, an expression of our love for that person. Again, to go back to what Pope Benedict said, because he puts it very well, among the many gifts that we buy and receive, let us not forget that the true gift is to give each other something of ourselves, to give each other something of our time, to open our time to God. In this way, anxiety disappears, joy is born, and the feast is created. So, even in the writing of a Christmas card, we can imagine our Lord is very happy if we turn that into a little prayer, maybe 2 minutes, a little 2-minute prayer for the person to whom we are writing that card. The baking of a Christmas meal, the cooking of the Christmas dinner. Well, again, that turns into an expression and also a prayer offered up for the people for whom we are cooking that meal. All the many things, turning them into something deeper than the mere present or the mere meal or the mere decorations or the mere card. It becomes an expression of something much deeper, and that's love. Let's finish up turning to Our Lady. We ask her to help us prepare Christmas as she did. We imagine her preparation. Lots of things go wrong for her and St. Joseph in the lead up to Christmas. She was no doubt very tired, and yet full of joy, full of this gaudete, because she was thinking of the joy she was bringing into the world in bringing her Son into the world. For that reason, we call Our Lady cause of our joy. I give you thanks, my God, for the good resolutions, affections and inspirations you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask you for help to put them into effect. My Mother Immaculate, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.